All right. Let's try this solo podcast tonight. I'm just trying to get everything set up and dialed in and try not to look at myself here. If anybody's listening, give me a thumbs up. Make sure my audio is okay. Then I'll go ahead and start. Well, I guess I could check it myself. If anybody's listening, give me a thumbs up. Make sure my audio is okay. That's pretty good. This old blue microphone. All right. Oh man, this is weird not having a guest out there, but a guest in front of me to have a conversation with. But let's just start off with some announcements. Maybe that'll break the ice a little bit. So what do we have? We have the laptop giveaway, the submission. Okay. Everybody's coming in. Okay. We had the deadline for the submissions was last night at midnight. I don't know how many we got. Last I checked, we had about 8 or 9. I mean, I guess laptops just, they're not as cool as if we were giving away an iPhone. I guarantee every one of your kids would have been writing a thesis on their hero. But and that has gone to like a third party. Myself and Randy are not, obviously not going to judge them that way. We can't be accused of favoritism, nepotism, whatever the word is. And I guess by the end of the week, we should have some winners on that. Also, if you missed it, go check out Buddy Yard's post. I'm not allowed to tell you what he's giving away, what he's offered up, but it's pretty dope. It's pretty cool. So if you've got a kid between I don't know what he said, ages of like, say, 12 and 18 or 16 or something like that. They're going to want to take part in that. You're going to want to post up the picture of your favorite picture from a hunt from this year. It does not have to be on Fort Bragg. And also, I wanted to get into a topic that we have to get into this every year. So, and rather than fight fire with fire, which is what is in my nature to do, I'm going to try to not do that. I'm going to try to be more civil about it, but this issue of the infamous deconflict, PM to deconflict. I know there's a lot of people that when they come on and they say they don't understand it. I don't believe they don't understand it. I think that's kind of being like sarcastic, like, I don't understand why, we have central heat and air when back in my day, we just lit a fire. But if you don't understand it, I'll just tell you a little story, okay? Best way I can kind of lay it out for you. So about, 9 years ago now, I think we're at 9 years ago, I didn't start hunting until about 12 years ago. And I started hunting on a hunt club in Alabama. And, when you come in, there's a board and there's different patches and stuff that are marked off with a nail. And then you put your little dog tag that we had with your name on it. That would signify that Joe Snuffy was at the Bradshaw patch. Don't go there. Or if you're going to go somewhere near that, just be aware that he's there, kind of be quiet, respectful, whatever. Coming to Fort Bragg, it's kind of intimidating at first because you don't know anybody, and, and most of us, and I'll say this, most of us, 99% of us were raised to be considerate of other people. You know what I mean? It was just the way we were raised. Like when I come into a neighborhood, at night, I turn the music on my radio down in my car because, kids are sleeping, stuff like that. So it can be kind of intimidating going into an area. I know for myself, I wanted to hunt a specific area because it was close, convenient, and it's bow only. But I knew that, BT hunted in there. So at first, when you don't know BT, he doesn't talk a lot. He's kind of quiet. He's a great, nice guy. Nicest guy in the world, will answer any question. But when you don't know him, you don't know how, you can't read him. It's like, I didn't know if he was a dick. I didn't know if he was, what I'm saying? But I didn't want to go into his area because I didn't know where he was hunting in this area. And a couple of people that I kind of knew were like, oh, don't go in there. BT goes in there. And I'm like, oh, I really want to hunt it. And I think I just finally talked to him and asked him, like, if I go over here, am I going to be in your way? And I found out he was a really cool guy. So getting on Facebook during this time, there were like 4 or 5 different Facebook pages for Fort Bragg hunting. Okay. There was like Fort Bragg Deer Hunters, and there was Fort Bragg this, Fort Bragg that. Well, this particular page that we're all on was called Fort Bragg Hunt Club. Okay, but unbeknownst to a lot of us, there's a Fort Bragg in California, and that's what the page was set up for. It was only like 3 guys, and no matter what we did, I started a few other pages and came in and was like, hey, everybody come in and go to this page. This is California. But they would say, okay, and you get about 10 people, 15 people, 20 people. But then you would notice that all the attention came back to this page. So I think it was Dwayne Holly that suggested, just in a post, like, hey, maybe we should just contact this guy and get the page. So I did. So that's how Dwayne Holly was. Me and him were the first admins on this page. And the specific intent, I guess, when I got into it, was like, wow, this page could be really dope was so you could meet people, or so if you were going to come in late, you know what I mean? If you were going to have to come in at like, say, 4:30, when most people are in their tree by 3, you know, you could be like, hey, look, if you're in I-2, I'm sorry, I'm late, I'm coming in. You can PM me, tell me where, you know, about where you're at, because, you know, no one's going to give up where they're hunting. I get that. And that way I don't encroach on you. Now, how anybody can get flustered by that notion, okay, it's not a requirement. No one said that, oh, you have to, don't come into this area, don't come into my area unless you deconflict with me first. I don't know if maybe that's the misunderstanding, that maybe someone's taking it that way, or if, you know, I don't know. Again, I'm trying not to fight fire with fire, because my natural tendency is just to believe that those people are people that just look in the mirror and don't like what they see, and they automatically assume that everybody feels the same way, which makes them like hate the world and you know, that's just me. I don't know. So there's no understanding of it. You know, it's like you don't have to do it. You know, and if you're a guy that's been hunting Fort Bragg for a long time, you don't have to deconflict with anybody. You don't have, you know, you can almost go to an area that you've been hunting since Moses wore short pants and see there's 3 guys in there, and you might actually know who those 3 guys might be, or you can kind of guess, okay, they're not going to be where I'm going, because I know this place very well. I'm not going to go to the obvious spots. But you got to remember, this is a transient area. Every year we get new people, and it can be intimidating. You know, I don't want to walk in on your hunt. You may not care. You may not give a shit, right? You may not care if you walk in on me or anybody else. I'm going to my spot. I don't have to deconflict public land. Okay, that's fine. I don't want to walk in on you. Okay, so in the beginning, I did that a lot. Like, hey, I'm going to a new area. If you're in this area, just hit me up on Facebook, Messenger, and I will avoid that fire break or wherever you're at. I'm not. There was no notion of, let me see where this guy is hunting. Okay, Fort Bragg is so big. You know, it's so big, and hunting is pretty hard, that I tell people all the time, I can send you to a spot where I killed this deer. That don't mean you're going to see a deer. That deer's already dead. You know, you can go to the area. I can send you to an area where I know there's a deer there. I've seen a deer there multiple times, and maybe I'm hunting them. But you still have to hunt that deer. You can't just go set up and then at 3:30, 4 o'clock on the dot, he's going to come out. You still got to play the wind and all that stuff. And I know there's a lot of guys that are pretty secretive. You know, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not bashing that, but I don't like it when people come on, and a guy made a post last week or earlier this week, whenever it was, and he said, I think that was the post, like, I'm going to be hunting an area I'm not familiar with. If anybody's going to be hunting, and he specified the area, if you want to hit me up. And it was just like, it wasn't a lot of people, but it was like, like, I don't understand this. You know, back in my day, we didn't. Well, the reason why back in your day that you did not have, you didn't have to use Facebook or internet is because you didn't fucking have it. Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? If you had it, you would have used it. And all this, God, I'm not supposed to be fighting fire with fire, but damn, I mean, I know a lot of guys. I mean, I grew up here in this area my whole life. I know guys that hunted, even though I didn't hunt until I was in my 30s. And I know, and I've met guys through the channel that have been hunting this place for a long time. And y'all weren't really I think that people follow the rules more now than when y'all were hunting. You know, taking 15 deer, 12 deer. I mean, unless they're just full of shit, and it's in hunting stories, or a lot of times like military stories where it's like 50% bullshit, and then there's like 1/3 of it's the actual truth. But I hear a lot of stories about that and all the game wardens that they had back then. I don't really think you need that many game wardens now. I think that there are people that break the rules. Obviously, we see it, but it's not like rampant. It's not rampant. I mean, I know a lot of that. I don't know 5,000 people. I don't have a personal relationship with hundreds of people, but I speak to a lot of you guys a lot. And I have met, I'm not a guy that has a lot of friends, right? Not because I'm antisocial. I just like to be in my house and I like to do my own thing. I don't have 10 friends. I don't get together on Super Bowl with 10 of my childhood buddies. I'm not that type of person. So, I've met a lot of people on here. A lot of my closest friends to this day I have met from deconflicting. And deconflicting is just a military word for you civilian guys that don't understand it. It's pretty self-explanatory. If I'm with this unit and we're going to go into this area and that other unit's in there, we're going to call ahead and deconflict so our missions, our sectors of fire don't, it's pretty simple. I don't know what the civilian word for deconflict would be, but I mean, come on. How can you get down on just common decency? You don't have to do it. So, boom, there. I know a lot of people, we got the list today. Hold on a second. I've got to fix the heat in this room. Hey, babe. Thank you. Okay. That's not that cold out. It's like 90 degrees in here. Yeah, just turn the heat down for me, please. So the list came out today for this week's hunt. And I made the joke that like bow hunters, strictly bow hunting guys are laughing their ass off, because even though my heart sank, I was laughing my ass off. Like this is the first time that I can remember this ever happening. Usually you got clean sweep, obviously, and then that's like all. But this, especially with the rut, I know a lot of you guys are hanging on to the hope, like, oh no, they're still chasing. I saw this and that. That rut. The rut is going to be going on for the next couple of weeks, but that rush where the big mature bucks get stupid, like they slip up, that's done for the year. Pack it up. I don't care what you think, what you say, what you're hoping on. That's not going to happen. It doesn't mean that you cannot kill a deer. You're going to see here in the next couple of weeks. This is like some of these guys that hunt, especially I think even Mike Skipper even said on the podcast last year, a year before, or 2 years ago, that he likes this time of year. But you got to understand, this is a guy that's been hoofing it through Fort Bragg for over 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So that go out and find a deery area where you got you've never been before, and you got your food and your bedding, and it looks really deery and it looks really dope. Of that buck slipping up and coming out, that's probably over for you. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Keep trying. I'm not saying give up. But I know personally that if I have not got a mature buck by last week, I start getting like stressed out and a pit in my stomach, and I'm like, oh, I missed my chance. Deer tech rut is still going. It is. That's the second rut, right? Because the deer that did not get bred, the does that maybe didn't get bred, 28 days from they around the 25th of October, they're going to come back into estrus. And then maybe the younger ones that were a couple months younger, they didn't hit that cycle, so they're going to be coming in, and that's going to be like another rut. But what I think of, maybe I'm being egotistical by saying what I think of in the rut is that Halloween till about the 18th of November. Even though I kill a deer on the 22nd, but it's just a roundabout time, and it because you go to the skin shed, and you go up there. There's always that one weekend, or maybe sometimes it's 2 weekends, where there are like 12 deer hanging in there, and they're all bucks, and there's more coming in. That's the time I'm talking about. If I have not gotten a deer in that time frame, I start getting a very bad sinking gut feeling, and I'm very familiar with that feeling because I think I had it every year for 9 years. It just is what it is. But anyway, going into this lockdown period, and then getting excited because maybe there's only 1 week left, and then you open it up and you see what we saw today, and it's like, I guess we're about to invade someone else, or this is scheduled, whatever. You gotta remember, we can bitch about it, but it's military base, and we got to hunt around the training, and there's a lot of training going on this week. So L1, I'm gonna tell you right now. Well, I don't know. I don't know how many people are hunting during the week, but L1, if is about to be crowded, doesn't mean you can't kill a deer in there. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm going to be bow hunting, which I've actually fallen out of love with. I don't know why. I'm telling myself it's not because it's harder, because I kind of was, I got into it and all that. This year, I just kind of lost the. I'm not going to ever take away from the fact that killing a deer, a mature buck with your bow from a saddle on public land is like max style points. I'm never going to argue that point, but I think I'm just over that drive that I had for that is gone. I'll still do it every now and then as a means to keep hunting when my rifle area is closed, but I just like guns. I'm American. I just like guns. I don't know. I just kind of like it. But yeah, so there you go. We covered that. We covered everything else. I don't know what else to do here because I don't have a guest. But going into some of the things that I was thinking about today, about going into the late season, I'm obviously probably not the best person to speak on advice on that. I know what I've been told. I know what has worked for me in the past. I know what I've seen and read, but Fort Bragg's a little different. Again, maybe all this training's going to kick them up. Maybe these bucks that were in lockdown and say, I'm just going to say Area P because Sicily Drop Zone is definitely going to be crowded. I mean, I know they're jumping tonight out in Holland Drop Zone. So those deer that might have been locked down, and they're enjoying their little honeymoon next to their food source, all of a sudden you got all these fuckers coming from the sky and setting up bivouacs and radios going off and all this noise. They're gonna get up and move, so I don't know, but I know what I'm gonna be doing, and I'm going to, from now until until I stop hunting, which will probably be about the second week of December, I'm going to be looking for a food source. I'm not really looking to catch that buck out cruising. So I'm going to find the most obvious food source. Of course, you're going to find bedding. There's a draw everywhere. I'm stuck on draws. I have tried to hunt some of these areas that guys have told me about, and I'm just not convinced they're telling me the truth. There's some guys that like to tell you bad information just so you'll do it, and they think that's funny. Look at douchebags. We all know douchebags. But I've tried to hunt, like say in like the savannah, which is like just the broom straw grass and the pine trees, and I've seen deer bow hunting, and they were like 80 yards away, and it's frustrating. But I will be looking for a food source. If you find a food plot, hey, I'm not saying sit on the food plot. I never do that, but off the food plot, the wind, if you're sitting in a tree and the food plot's to your left and the wind's blowing from your right shoulder to your left shoulder, you're probably not going to see no deer. So get on the other side of it, type of shit. But all right, so I covered the whole deconflict thing. There's not much more to say about it. If you don't like that, again, and here's another thing too. And I have mentioned this before. If the idea of being courteous to people and wanting to be friendly and maybe make friends and be connected to hunting, I like the page a lot because even with, I think somebody, and I don't think John was he wasn't being a dick or nothing. He was just saying, hey, look, man, there's technology that you can use and put like pinned post, so that anybody looking for a dog can just go there, and that way we don't have to constantly see people looking for a dog. But I'm being selfish. I kind of like that. It keeps me plugged in. I feel like even when you have a hunt buddy that if you're at work or you're doing something and he's hunting, you like text him back and forth. He's like, oh, I have movement. Oh, do that. I like that. So I think it kind of plugs us in. So not only do I not know how to do it, I don't really want to take the time to learn how to do it, and I just think it's kind of cool. But if this venue, if you don't like what's going on here, then why are you here? I don't understand that. I mean, there are so many pages out there that, let's say the pages that talk about politics all the time, I don't follow those pages because I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, arguing about this shit. Why is it even on my feed? Block. That's how I handle that, And there's any other page. I mean, there's a couple of deer hunting pages out there that you can't even post a picture of your 8-year-old son with a 4-point buck and be like, oh, look at my kid, he's got blood on his face and this is so cool. And there'll be a million comments of, oh, you should have let him walk, you're teaching him. I don't follow those pages. That's just not my vibe. So if you don't like the Fort Bragg Hunt Club, the Fort Bragg NC Hunt Club, then there's right here, there's a unfollow the shit. You know what I mean? And there's another page. There's a couple of them. Go check them out. So there you go. Big shout out, big thank you to everybody, Buddy Ard for his participation. Randy, of course, Randy really stepped up this year, and I really appreciate that. I've actually turned most of it over to him because I was tired of doing it, but he's doing a great job. And I think this is a great community, and I'm very proud of it. I mean, I'm very proud. I got Fort Bragg Hunt Club on my truck, on both of my trucks. I wear the gear. I love it when I meet somebody that's wearing one of the hoodies. So, cool. All right. Now I'm out of breath. I'm out of wind. I'm out of things to talk about. Let's go to the questions here. And I might have to put my glasses on because I'm getting old. Okay, let's see here. I'm not throwing shade or taking shots at anyone, but genuinely curious. So many claim they go all season, never see a deer. I'm just curious how. Buddy, I can't answer that question. I can't answer that question. Yeah, that's for y'all to decide. I'm bucked out. You know what I'm saying? And on that, I'm not. I go every year and I want to win. I want to win. I don't really care about winning. I care about dethroning Mike Skipper. I mean, I don't hide the fact. He's won it. If he didn't win it last year, his dad did. You know what I'm saying? That's like they're like a team. I want to be the king of Fort Bragg, but I won't be this year. But I'm happy with the deer I got. Okay, let's do Samuel Silvano. I have a question because I am one who hasn't seen any deer. When you pull up to an area, how do you know when you show up? Yeah, I want to scout that area. Oh man, this is going to be personal preference, man. I can tell you what I look for when I'm driving around. And I know if I want to scout an area, does it look like deery, and I don't know how to. So deer like bottoms, right? You got when you look at that map, all those blue lines, that's where elevation goes down, water collects. It's usually a creek down there. It's usually really thick. They bed up down there. There's food. So I will look, for me, if I see a deep bottom with hardwoods, I get a hard on, and I'm like, okay, if I was a deer, this is what I think of when I think of, deer heaven. You got hardwood, so you got acorns, you got plenty of cover. It's steep. You got fingers. You got a good place to travel. There's food. There's shelter. And sometimes I'm disheartened. I go down there and I don't. And what I do is I immediately get out and I walk along the edge of the draw. Okay, I'm looking for a scrape. Now this time of year, they're not really messing with. They may start messing with scrapes again with the whole second rut, but really, like, scrapes are more like during and before. But still, you can see where a scrape used to be. And if you're not sure what a scrape is, look it up. And if you come across one, if you have somebody on the page, or you can even post it. I don't care. I think you should feel comfortable posting a picture of what you think is a scrape and say, hey, man, I'm not sure. I'm new to this area. Is this a scrape? If anybody comes on there and says, if you don't know that's a scrape, you shouldn't be hunting, I'm going to kick them off the page. I usually give warnings, but I don't like that person, that type of person. As a matter of fact, there was a guy the other night, somebody asked a question about why is Fort Bragg closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. Didn't even say in a bad way, just curious. And one guy's immediate response was, that's just the way it is. If you don't like it, go back to where you came from. Bye. I'm not giving a warning for that. I don't like that guy, and I have the God button, and so does Randy. So anyway, So that's what you do. You find that scrape. Now, when you find that scrape, stop. Like, look at the area. Okay, is there a trail going into the thick stuff? Okay, well then you can now scout both sides. You can kind of. This is what I do. And there may be somebody out there rolling their eyes like, "Oh, you're doing it all wrong." And a lot of times, as I am walking that trail on the edge of that draw, I'm looking up the hill too because I'm looking for rubs. Because a lot of times, if you find a rub and you face it and you look through the woods, you look up the hill, you might see another one, and you start following it, and next thing you know, you're crossing a fire break, and you can see on the berms of the fire break, they're just berms. You can see where they're really tore up, where there's hoofprints going over, and then you can kind of start seeing, okay, they're traveling over here, so maybe you want to set up somewhere along that line. But knowing when they're going, that takes trail cams, and we can't use those no more, so there's a lot of luck. But I would say as a beginner, start there. And then when you start seeing deer, maybe don't kill the first thing that comes out, and you can start seeing where they go. But that takes years, because if you would have told me that on my third, fourth year hunting, I'm like, yeah, kick rocks. I'm browning down. I'm shooting everything. I'm not seeing deer all the time. So if it pops out on me, I'm going to kill it. But getting more competitive with the new age of internet deer hunting and wanting to score and get bigger, mature bucks, you start learning that discipline. And by doing that, you start seeing more deer, because now you're hunting for that trophy. And so you're letting things walk, and you start, oh shit, that's where they're going. Oh, and then when you see a deer, pay attention to the wind. We can get into the wind direction, but that answer your question. Find a draw, thick draw, hunt for sign first. Okay, that's the first thing that you need to hunt. You need to hunt for the sign. Hell, you might even have a good chance if you just find a scrape that looks like it's been hit, and just setting up. If you're bow hunting, maybe 25, 30 yards with the wind in your favor, or 80 yards with your rifle. Just sit there. I mean, it increased your odds. So, all right, I hope that was helpful. Okay, what late season food does everyone look for? You know what? I'm not really sure on that one, John. Acorns, white oaks, I'm always looking for those. There's also, if you walk along the edge of those draws, I don't know what they're called because I'm not a nerd like that, but you can kind of see where there's leaves missing. And they're like, okay, well, deer are eating this. And I learned that actually with Garrett Citrano last year. We were walking. I was walking right past his food source. And I was looking at the area over here because there was rubs and there were scrapes. And he was more concerned about what was over here because they were eating the leaves and stuff. From what I know, deer will pretty much put anything in their mouth. You know what I mean? Kind of like my ex-wife. No, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't have said that because that was not the case. But they eat a lot of stuff, but I always look for acorns, and usually all my spots that are like tomorrow, I know where I'm going already. I haven't even been there at all this year, but I know where I'm going, and I know there's like acorns, and they've been on the ground for a while, so maybe somebody else could. Someone like Jonathan Holloway should answer that question, because he could give you the freaking science name and the Greek name, or the, what's that language, the Latin term for it, and where it's indigenous to. I just don't know. Okay, boom, boom. It's not that. Okay, Brian Ward. It's not that I don't see deer. It's just not seeing bucks. I pass on tons of does and spikes. The bucks I have seen have been out of archery range. Well, get in range, bud. That's all I can tell you. So if you're seeing bucks, maybe you should go down there. What I would do is I would go down there and see why are they down there. Well, that's very vague. I don't know if they're down there because they're eating, if they're crossing, or if there's does down there. But I would see what it is down there. Maybe there's a scrape down there that they're checking. So maybe you need to move in a little closer to that scrape with the wind in your favor. And that's hard to do because, the wind, I think it was Steve Randall that told me his idea is that if the wind is like, say, under 7 miles an hour, it really doesn't have that much of an effect. And the deer's smelling thermals anyway. The wind just pushes thermals. That's why milkweed is good, But I was in a situation last week where I went to this spot because we had north wind, and the whole time I'm sitting there, the wind was blowing. No, sorry, it was a southwest wind, and that's why I was there. But the wind was blowing out of the northwest. I guess it was just hitting the area and swirling. And I actually think I got busted, even though I didn't get busted. I heard a deer grunt behind me at my 7 o'clock. It sounded pretty close, and it was a loud grunt. Not a woodpecker, Randy. And then, so I responded with a short one, and then I just sat tight because I've learned the hard way that that's what you do. And then he grunted again about 5 or 10 minutes later. I can't really remember, but now he was circling me. And I'm thinking, okay, the wind's blowing. The wind's supposed to be blowing this way, and that's why I'm sitting where I'm sitting. But now it's shifting and blowing down. And he got, right in front of me. He was probably about, I don't know, from the sound of the grunt, it was probably about 50 yards or less. I was gun hunting, so that was a good distance. And he did it one more time, and then I didn't hear from him again. So I figured that he caught the thermal going downhill. He smelled me, and I even tried grunting after that. He didn't come out. And then, of course, my good buddy Randolph is all down and distraught because he just has been having a rough year, and he hasn't seen nothing. And he's texting me. He's like, I ain't seen no deer. So I'm like, come on, bud. Come over to this fire break. I get him down there. We walk around. We find a bunch of scrapes. And I tell him to get in this tree. I tie his bootlace. I pat him on the head. And he says that he saw a deer that was about a 120. And he didn't want to shoot it because he only got one buck tag left. I'm going to say he got busted or he missed. But I wasn't there. We'll have to believe him. That's a true story, by the way. All right. I appreciate that. Makes sense. I'm saying where they travel, not saying travel, just not saying. Yeah. Hey, man, I don't know, man. There's a lot, like we said before when we were talking, I forgot which podcast it was. There's a lot of luck. Randy, it's not BS. Okay, I didn't pat him on the head. That part I made up. Anyway, there's a lot of luck sometimes I've killed deer and, you look like you're the man because he's a big, mature deer. Not to everybody because, there's always someone that can kill a bigger deer. But I had all these plans and nothing went according to plan. The deer didn't even come with the wind. He came the opposite direction where I wasn't expecting him, and I killed him. So there's a lot of luck involved in just being in the right place at the right time. And I would say that's probably, 95% is luck. There's just that 5% that you can kind of turn the odds in your favor by looking at the wind and, reading the sign. Because you could have all the sign in the world. Me and Randy went over to a spot last 2 weeks ago, either sex area, and never been there before, and just kind of walked around, and we had fresh scrapes. They were wet. They still had like pee in them. So something was there that day. There were rubs, there were tracks everywhere, there was a shit ton of bedding, and there was food all over the place. What else can you do? That's a deer hunting spot. The first time you set up and you just observe. And if you get lucky, something comes out, and then you're the man. Or, I always like to, and I like to tell people because it's what I was told, and it seems to work. If you find a spot with all this sign and you like it, hunt it 3 times. Don't just hunt it one time, and then, I didn't see nothing, and then go somewhere else, but the spot sucks. Unless you just really feel like the spot sucks. And if you really feel like the spot sucks, then you should leave, because that's going to be a boring 3 or 4 hours. But give it 3 sits. That's all I can say. All right, Richard Sloan, am I saying that right? Is getting to a tree stand close to almost 4 p.m. way too late, specifically when the area I found that has fresh deer poop and might be a bedding area. I saw a lot of push down leaves. Man, I guess no. The immediate answer to that question, I don't think, my opinion is no, it's not. There's so many variables there, though. Okay, so if you think they're bedded down over there or close to, and it's 4 p.m., they're going to be a little bit more, this is me guessing, they're going to be a little bit more aware because it's getting close to that sun, especially now at this time of year. That sun's about to go down, so they know that they're about to get up and start moving around, go eat or something. And if you're walking in and the wind's on your back, well, they're going to smell you. Now, this whole notion of sneaking into your stand and being quiet, maybe in the Midwest. Maybe, but I don't really think so much at Fort Bragg because they hear so much all the time. I've done it. I've witnessed it. I know people that I talk to, like Clint Myers comes to mind. He, setting up 4 sticks, saddle hunting, making all the noise because it's early in the day, and like an hour later, like 4 deer are 20 yards away from him, stand up and stretch their legs. They laid there the whole time listening. So when they're bedded down like that, they're listening, but they don't know what they're hearing. They're not smart. They're not like us, where we hear something and we're like, oh, that sounds like a Kula bird. That sounds like the fucking brakes on a 1957 Chevy. Or that sounds like a diesel motor. They don't have that type of recognition. They just hear stuff. Smell is what they're picking up on. So that's why I say, like there was a question about getting, I think it was Brandon Barrett was talking about, going to your tree stand early before dark. Hey man, that's what you want to do. I don't do that. I know Randy does. Randy would get in the tree at midnight if he was allowed to. For some reason, some people feel like that if they're set and they're bored and they've been there, the 2 hours after the sun rises that they're expecting deer, that they've been there for 4 hours, that somehow they're a part of nature and that they're going to trick the deer. I don't see it that way. I don't think that you got to sneak through the woods like a ninja. Now, sometimes that may be important, especially if you're going to sneak into his house. You know what I mean? Some of these guys that go into the mature buck's den, maybe, but I think the wind is more important than your sound. I mean, think about it. Those deer are out there sleeping and bedded down, and those squirrels are up there, playing WWE. You think they know what a squirrel sounds like? I don't think a deer's brain registers that. They just hear noise, not threatening. They don't smell no fear. They don't smell the threat. And so, had a guy walk past me at 4:35. Don't know if he made it in the tree. Now, I'm going to tell you as a rule for me during the winter months, when the time goes back, when the sun starts setting at like 5 o'clock, I like to be in my tree stand by 3:30. The sun starts to set around 4:30. It starts to get quiet. If it's windy, the wind starts to die down right before the sun starts to set. If there's other people in the area, I will put it this way. If it's 4 o'clock and I haven't made it to the area, it's a small area and there's like 6 people signed in there, I won't go. That's just me. I don't care what life threw at me that day. I have another spot I can go to because I just don't want to be that guy. Everybody, if you were in the military, remember that guy? Don't be that guy. I have strived my entire adult life just never be that guy. Never late. I've been late a few times, but I'm the 15-minute early guy. I've never dropped a weapon. I've never had an AD or ND, whatever they call them nowadays. I don't want to be that guy. Okay, it's embarrassing, especially if you're coming in at 5 o'clock and you blow by someone's stand and they yell out, "Hey, dickhead," because you really have no defense. Like, yeah, I am a dick. And some people have that mentality. Some people are like, "Oh, it's public land." I don't think that way. So if I can't get into my tree stand by, say, 3:30 and get into an area and get set when there's people there. Now, if there's no one in the area, then I just do whatever I want. Or if I know who's in the area, like, say, Randy, I know where he's at, so I'm not going to mess him up. But that's just personal preference, I guess. So, on that, it is public land. And a lot of guys, there are some guys that aren't on the page. And, just because you're in an area and some guy wants to go set up 200-300 yards away, I know it's frustrating. I mean, I can sit here all day and be like, well, you got to like live and learn and live together and coexist. But I get pissed. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, fuck. It's just natural behavior, but I guess that's where being an adult comes in, My best tactic to getting out with my squirrel dogs. My best tactic is getting out with that's Buddy Ord. Never hunt. There's place out there think to hunt. Yeah. So, during squirrel hunting season, especially a lot of deer hunters that don't even squirrel hunt will go out and sign out like they're going to squirrel hunt. And I lost my train of thought because I was reading. I'm not good at multitasking. They'll sign up for squirrel hunting, and maybe they will squirrel hunt. Maybe they'll bring a 22 or whatever the hell that you hunt squirrel with. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. But they'll use that as an opportunity to scout for deer, because now the deer may be feeling a little bit less pressured. You might jump them, and that's another tactic that I wanted to share with y'all, that I will be using when I have time. Like maybe tomorrow I'll be able to get out a little early with the saddle and the one stick, so I'm not going to be sitting long. But what I like to do in the early season and in the late season is just walk, okay? And I'm not even being quiet. I'm walking to wherever I think there's a deer, could be laid up on the side of the road, on the side of, if you see like, you got like a fire break and there's a ditch and there's like, just a bunch of like bright green shit, I'll walk right through there. I want to jump him, okay? I want to jump his ass up, because as soon as he jumps, he's going to run. And he's usually going to run back to where he came from, okay? Because, again, they're not very smart. You know what I mean? So they clock safety as they pass it. This was explained to me. It could be a theory. I'm not making it up. I'm not innovating it. But as they move along, they clock where safety's at. And they have a pretty good memory of that somehow. Which is why if you ever shoot at a deer and you're not sure if you hit him or not, and people will text me, I'll always ask, which way did he go when you shot at him? Did he go back the way he was coming, or did he run a different direction than what he was coming? And if they say, oh man, he stopped and he turned and he went back the way he was coming, I'm like, you missed him. Chances are you missed him, because when they get frightened, they go back to where they come from. So imagine if this deer is on a mission to go either get some ass or get some food, or drink of water, or move on to his next spot, and you come out and maybe he's not bedded, maybe he just squats down because he sees you. So he's like, oh shit, danger. And then you jump him up, he's going to run back to where he came from, and he's going to set up. He's not going to run 10 miles. He's going to run and get out of sight. He's going to squat down, and then he's going to come back. Most of the time. A lot of the time. Probability that he may not come back while the sun's up for you to get a shot, but he might. And the times that I've done that, they've come back. Mainly with does, but last season in September, I did it with 2 bucks. One was a mature buck. They're probably both pretty mature, but one was a nice one. And by the time he came back, I couldn't get the shot on him. He was 30 yards away from me, but the glow from my pin on my bow was killing my night vision. So I could see him with both eyes, but I couldn't see through my peep sight. So there you go. That's another tactic. Usually my goal is 2 weeks ago, I was 50 yards from the tree. I was planning to climb at 245, and there was an 8-point standing next to the tree. Just my luck. Yeah, well, which way did he run? When you got that situation, like what I just said, if he sees you and he runs. Now, if he smells you and he blows, I'm probably going to find another area. I could be wrong on that, but usually, like when a deer blows, he's not blowing a warning at you. That's him. You're just scared the bejesus out of him. And when they get scared, that's that noise you hear. That's like, oh shit, and they run. So they smelled you. They know it's danger. If they just get up and run and they don't make no noise, they don't know what the hell's coming. They just heard something and their little spidey senses went off. But as soon as nothing happens, they'll come back out. So normally what I do is when I jump a deer, I watch them run off and I kind of see where they went. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. Well, then I'm going to go like 20 yards off, depending on where the wind is. And I'll usually just set up right there. And sometimes I don't see shit. But sometimes I do. Richard Sloan, new hunter here, archery only. I have seen deer this year. I got busted twice. I think one was my scent, and the other I drew back at 40 yards, and I just moved too fast. Can you explain how you use wind? Okay. How do I use wind? I mean, I don't even know how to explain this because and I'm not trying to call you an idiot. It's so self-explanatory. So if I'm hunting an area, now I hunt with a saddle, so I have a tree in front of me, and so I've got to position myself where I think the deer are most likely going to come from, and that usually means they're going to come from the side I don't want them to. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is where I think they're going to go, so I'm going to set up to where that tree is not in my way, because I don't want to have to do that if I don't have to. So if the wind is blowing, let's say that I'm facing the tree, and I think the deer are going to come out. I want them to come out around from 9 o'clock, or say from like 6 o'clock to my 11 o'clock. If the wind is blowing from my right to my left, I'm in a bad spot. If the deer are bedded up down there, if that's the bedding area, because now that wind's going to push that thermal down there. So that's step one. If you can, if the wind is blowing that way, and you still want to hunt, and you still think they're going to come out that way, you just have to call what Jonathan Holloway calls cheating the wind. You have to pick a position there where you think maybe the wind is going to blow it past them. The thermal's going to go past them. And then again, it depends on if it's morning. I think in morning time, the thermals get pulled down. And the only way to see a thermal is with milkweed that I know of, because the wind can be blowing, but that milkweed's going to float on that thermal. And deer smell thermals like when you walk into a restaurant and you smell fried chicken, or you smell a fart, somebody fucking bust ass in the elevator, like that, that they smell it like that. So they can kind of, if somebody, anyway, you get my point. So yeah, that's how I use the wind. Typically what I like to do, I like it during the rut better, because I'm expecting bucks to be cruising. Every time I kill a buck, he's cruising. And so there you go. That's how I've experienced of a hunter. I only kill bucks during the rut. Style points go up when you kill them after and before the rut. But I always catch them with the wind blowing up the hill. Like I think I did a post about that. It's blowing up the hill. So he's cruising and he's scent checking that bottom. And the thermals are kind of like pushing up the hill and he's smelling them. So I like to sometimes get in the corner where I'm looking up, because the wind is blowing up, but it's blowing my smell this way and he's coming from that way. So by the time he smells me, he's right in front of me. I've already got a rifle on him. But with bow hunting, I'm going to try to get up on that ridge, maybe above it, so he walks below me. Get it? So wherever you think the deer are coming from, you need to check you get the Windy app. It'll tell you where the direction of wind is going for that day, and then that's how I pick my spots. If the wind's blowing if an east wind like it was the other day, I'm going to pick my spot. I'm going to try to find one of those draws that runs north and south. That's just me. And this time of year, I'm not getting on the leeward side. This time of year, I am getting on the with the wind blowing into the draw, and I'm kind of cheating it off to the side, because I'm hunting does now, because I'm out of buck tags. But even, if a buck is going to be following waiting for one of these does to come in, he's going to be following her, and they are back to moving, I think, majority of the time, with the wind kind of crossing or in their face, even though the doe that I seen the other night were walking with the wind on their ass. So, like I said, these are all just tactics. Doesn't mean it always happens that way. Yeah. Thermals rise in the morning, which is kind of good. That's why, people say that you can out-climb a deer's nose in the morning. And then if sometimes you drop that milkweed in the evening, and that shit will just go straight to the ground. And sometimes the deer, like I said, the deer is going to smell you. If the wind's blowing that direction, just sometimes they don't care. Like a buck, sometimes he don't care. He only has one. I mean, I've had bucks, like when I first started hunting, I did not know. No one ever told me that when a buck's chasing a doe and he's got his nose to the ground and he's like all hot, you need to yell at him. No one ever told me that. So the first time that happened to me, the buck jumped the fucking fire break. The doe had gone past, and I was like half asleep, and I couldn't get a shot. I would have shot her because I was a new hunter, but I couldn't get a shot on her because by the time I seen her, she wasn't stepping, like she wasn't strolling. She was like moving out. So I caught her, and it was like grass and all. And then I actually heard the buck grunt. First time I ever heard a buck grunt, and I heard him jump the fire break. And I couldn't see him, but when he came out in front of me, he had his nose to the ground. He was scurrying around. And I was like, oh, and I was trying to find him in my scope. And I didn't know what to do, so I grabbed my grunt call, and I was like, burp. And he didn't give a fuck. And he just kept going and going and going. He disappeared. And then I was like, God damn it. I mean, I literally said loud like that. And I looked over and he stopped. And he was looking at me. And I didn't shoot him because I didn't know I had enough time to shoot him. I was just still like excited and shocked. I was heartbroken. This was a nice deer. I mean, he wasn't no game winner, but he was probably a 100-inch deer. Which for me at the time he would have been up on that fucking wall for sure, full shoulder mount and everything. But no one ever explained that to me. Like when you see it, if no one's ever explained it to you, when you see a buck and he's moving out, or if you shoot him with your bow, or you shoot him and he starts running, you yell at him. That happened to me this year when I shot that 6-pointer. I think I already explained the whole story to it. I'm not sure if I got into detail, but when I reflex shot, and thank God it hit him, but it gut shot him. And I could tell it was a bad hit because he just kind of went like that, and he kept looking at me like, what the fuck was that? But then he started running. And so I chambered a new round, and he got, I saw his tail, and he's jumping over this log that was there. And I just yelled, hey, motherfucker, stop. And he did. He stopped and looked at me like, who are you calling a motherfucker? Bow! And that's where you saw the next shot. So, 3 o'clock is usually my goal, but 2 weeks ago I was 50. Yeah, we already read that one. Okay, let's see. I have a question because I am the one who. Okay, we got that. No, we don't have as many people in here. Well, it's going to be a short podcast. This week training, my scent management is soaking my clothes in diesel and smearing more chicken a la king. Dude, you an old motherfucker because they don't even have chicken a la king in the MREs anymore. Hey, this week's strategy, seriously, walk. Yeah, walk. Especially if you're bow hunting and you have a saddle, I would just walk around. Every area is going to be open to bow. There's going to be soldiers everywhere. From what I could see, I mean, I went on the post today to debone the meat on that doe, and I was driving down Chicken Road. I think, everywhere I went, I hear gunshots, and there were trucks, there were troops everywhere, and then driving down Preacher's Road, all them ranges over there were all full. I mean, so it's going to be hectic out there, but it may be a good thing, because it may get some of these bucks up that are, like I said, they're going to be locked down, but this was their honeymoon vacation spot, and now, it's a spot like, say, AA2. Is that, yeah, AA2. Good deer out there. Big area. A lot of places to go, but, now them troops are jumping in there tonight. That means there's going to be people sleeping there. And then I think I heard that they were going over to another drop zone. So that area, so you can forget about T and area R, anything around those drop zones, those deer are going to be up moving. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a deer. Okay, do we have any more questions here, or do I have to wing this one? This is the hard part about doing it by yourself, because now I'm going to have this dead space until something pops up into my head about, let's see here. Yeah, somebody save me here. Somebody save me. Come on, Randy. I know you're watching. So, hey, I will tell everybody a story. I tell, since Randy don't want to help me out, he wants to leave me hanging. Another thing that's good about this page, I'm going to take you back about, 9 years ago. I was hunted on, was it Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving? It was a cold, it was wet and rainy, and I hunted that morning, and I just got home and got in my damn Uggs and my comfortable gear and by the fire, and I am sitting there chilling, and I see a text come across, not a text, but a post on the Fort Bragg Hunt Club, and it's from this goober named Randy Wobble, I found out later, but he shot him a deer and chased him into the draw, and he got lost. He was like, Mayday, Mayday. And I think my father-in-law, he was sitting next to me at the time. He's passed now. And I was laughing. I was like, look at this goober. He went into the draw, blah, and he gave me that sad look like, oh, you got to go help him. And I had to go out there and rescue old Randy. And that's been our relationship ever since. I've been carrying them for 9 years. How high do you usually climb? What is a good height to be where they might not see you? Man, that is going to be MET-T. If you don't know, MET-T, Mission Enemy Troops Time Terrain, right? That's going to be situational depending on the terrain, man. If I'm in a climber and I'm hunting with a gun, I'm going to go about 25 to 30 feet. But if I'm bow hunting, I'm going to go anywhere from 14 to 20. Now, that just all depends on what's behind me. Especially if you're hunting up the hill. Imagine, you're using the tactic of getting 3/4 of the way up the hill, and you get in a tree. I don't know how I can do this. This is the hill, and you're up here, and then you get in a tree and you go fucking 25 feet. Now you're silhouetted. You know what I mean? You got sky behind you, and a lot of people think that deer cannot see very good, but they really can. And so you're in this tree, and you got all the sky behind you, and then you go like this. And if a deer is like looking in that general direction, his peripheral is going to catch that movement. Okay? So, that being said, if depending on cover that I have behind me, that's why I like to get between two pines. Hence what I renamed the podcast to. I like to get between two pines when I can. There's a couple of spots where I have good deer hunting access, good deer movement. I can get between those pines because that kind of gives you a lot of cover. And you can pretty much go as high as you want because I stay with the tree to my back. But sometimes there's certain spots like where I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm only going to go about 14 feet maybe. Because if I get up too high, I'm going to be silhouetted because the trees around me are going to be small. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to break up that silhouette. You can out-climb a deer's nose in a climber, in a saddle, bow hunting. It really doesn't make that much sense. I think that, sometimes I feel like I'm too high when I'm at 18 feet, but for a longer shot, that's okay. But for that shot that's down here, I'm going to try to get 14 feet. So it's going to be MET-T. It's going to be depending on the terrain around you and the cover. I think part of my issue is since I bow hunt, I'm stuck with the mindset that I need to get close to the draw or the thick so the bucks are forced to pass in range. Yeah, and depending on which way the wind and the thermals are going, you could be just setting yourself up for failure right there because you could be sitting on the edge of that draw. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to get on the edge of a draw too. But I only will get on the edge of a draw if the wind is blowing up out of the draw and blowing my scent away from that area. And that's, of course, I'm looking for a cruising buck. I always get to the corner of it with a rifle. But bow hunting, it's a little bit more tricky. Really want the deer within 30 yards, take a shot. I've shot deer further than that. I've missed a lot closer than that, but at 30 yards is about the max that when I'm setting up. And just depending on where do you think deer's coming from? Is he going to be coming in? Are you trying to catch him going into the draw or coming out? If you're trying to catch him coming out of the draw, then depending on the year, then you probably have the wind blowing into the draw, which means that thermal is taking your scent and just whipping it all through there. So if there is anything down there, he's going to go out the back way. He's going to smell you. And that's it. Again, it's all situational, but just think about where you're at and where you think the deer's at. You're not going to be right. You're taking a good guess. You think if I was a deer, I think maybe you've heard him over there. You've seen him over there. If that thermal is going to get pushed in there, if the wind is going in that direction, then you need to be like over here. So your scent is going here and he ain't smelling it, so he will come out and then you can catch him from the other side. Make sense? Bow hunting will teach you a lot, especially if you are like me with an itchy trigger finger. When you don't have the opportunity, we won't even go there, buddy. But yeah, it does. It does force you to watch and learn. It makes you a little more patient, and it makes you, I think, if you just bow hunt a lot, and then you say I'm going to go take a day or a week, and I'm going to go rifle hunt. It makes rifle hunting so much easier because the tactics you have to employ bow hunting to get the deer to come so close to you, now you can employ those same tactics, but now you can kind of sit further off and you get more opportunity. I don't know. That's the way I feel about it. Buddy Yard says, I still get that feeling, not as much as a teen, young adult, but this year I've been living as a teen. Like it was mentioned earlier, watch the deer, you'll learn a lot. Yeah. I just can't say that enough. Not only that, man, but you're going to, and I know there's that aspect of people out there that think that every deer is a trophy, or that hunting's not about trophy hunting and it's not about the horns. And, first of all, don't tell me what hunting's about. Hunting's about what it is for me. Everybody's got their own opinion. So I hate these fucking guys that get on the internet. Hunting is about fellowship and hunting is about meat and food and being one with nature and all this like kumbaya shit. Hunting to me is stressful as hell. I don't know. I think the guys that say, oh man, it's like being one with nature, you ain't seeing shit. You ain't hunting. You suck. or you're lying. Or you're lying to make up for the fact that you can't find and kill deer. So you make it about something else. So it's not like you suck. Like, I don't even care if I see deer, man. I'm out in the woods having a good time. I'm away from my fucking wife and kids and all. I can understand that part of it. But it makes you a better hunter, when you let the little deer walk because you want to kill the big one. And not just because that you have a chance of killing a big deer, but you're learning more about the deer behavior, what they do, where he's going. I didn't have no idea. Like I said, I came into this hunting. I didn't know nothing about deer. Nothing. I knew they existed. You know what I mean? If you showed me a picture of a 200-inch deer and a 100-inch deer, I didn't know the difference. Someone would say, this is an 8-point deer, and I'm looking at it like, well, I only see, I wasn't counting the brow tine. I didn't know nothing about where they lived, what they ate. There was a part of me when I first started hunting that thought, I'm going to take a fucking shopping bag full of corn, and I'm going to go dump it out 20 yards from my tree, and then the deer are just going to show up, and I'm going to have my pick. I don't know shit about it. So, and nobody ever really taught me, because the people that I started hunting around was my ex-wife's family, and they're from Eufaula, Alabama, and they all hunted. Like, that's all they did. Like, during the hunting season, I don't even think some of these fuckers went to work. Like, they took off. They all had, like, jobs where they were, like, their own, like, contractors and painters and golf cart mechanic. But during the hunting season, they went every day. So the thought or the idea of a grown man in his 30s not knowing anything about deer hunting was something that they just couldn't even register. So they were like, okay, you're just not familiar with Alabama, but, the first time I ever went deer hunting, my father-in-law was like, you go down to follow this trail, and then when you see that bent over tree, keep in mind it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's cold as shit, and he's like, then you're going to turn. And then about as the crow flies, it's only about 100 yards, but the way you're going to walk is going to be about 200. And then there's a tree stand there. He said, tree stand? I'm like, oh, cool, I got a tree stand. That means I'm going to walk up a ladder and sit in a box. I'm going to it was a climber that he made. And I just had to figure, they're kind of self-explanatory. I kind of figured it out. But I did not know you were supposed to put your back to the tree and sit in that little seat belt he had hanging there. So I'm sitting on the edge of the climber facing the tree, and I'm watching the woods, and I'm deer hunting. Meanwhile, the deer action is behind me. That's where it was set up, So, I didn't know shit about deer hunting. But, and even for like the first years here in Fort Bragg, I just kind of winged it. But once I got into my mind that I wanted to kill these mature deer, like I was tired of, I don't really like the taste of deer meat. And the thrill of killing the deer and tagging out was kind of over. I just needed something else. And then, you make the wrong type of friends that are chasing mature deer, and all of a sudden you're in competition with everybody. And a lot of people hate that because they don't want to put in the work. But when you start doing that, I think that it makes you better at hunting, because now you have to maximize every minute you have. So you start reading topo, you start fucking watching YouTube videos about funnels, and a lot of people will say, yeah, I know how to read a map, when they don't. They just don't. They don't get. They've been looking at these maps. All they're looking at is the lines of the roads. But a lot of people can't. And I'm one of those people. I can't commit it to memory. So I've admittedly been. There's another another tactic that is new is technology is ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT does not know anything about Fort Bragg. It doesn't know anything about the species or whatever, but it can take, if you're not familiar with map reading, you can take a screenshot of the area that you think you want to hunt, okay? And you can just put that in ChatGPT and say, look, based on this topographical map, the wind's going to be blowing out of you go on Windy or whatever weather app you have and see where at such and such miles per hour, it's going to be 35 degrees. It'll take all that information and it'll read that and it'll tell you where on that map is its recommendation on where deer are going to funnel, where they're going to travel based on all of that. And believe it or not, that actually has worked for me this year. It didn't kill me any deer, but it got me in a new area. And the first time I was there, I saw a deer. And I was like, holy shit. And one of the areas, because I had never been in the area ever in my life, on the map it looked really good. But when I got there, it was just a draw. And the pine trees were like 80 feet apart, and they were like this big around. They were. I couldn't even get a climber on them, or my saddle. I had to. Some of the trees, I had to like throw the rope around and catch it because I couldn't reach around these trees, and it was like this is the tree I need to be in based on the wind, and I felt stupid because there's like no cover. It's all broom straw and just one draw. But I'll be damned if the deer didn't come exactly the way ChatGPT said. Yeah, big doe. I should have shot her. I don't think I had not shot my last buck yet. It was during the rut, like peak, and there was like 4 doe, and there was one that I thought was a buck, and from like 100. She was on the other side of the draw. That's how clear this area was. And I seen her body, and I was like, oh, it's a big old buck. And I finally used my binos that I never used, and I was like, oh, it's a doe, but she was big. But anyway, she was kind of traveling by herself, and the other ones were off, still on the other side of the draw when she crossed. So I figured she was hot. So I'll wait, and I swear, and the wind was weird too, because the wind was on my face crossing this way. So it was blowing out of the southwest. And she came about 38 yards. I ranged her, and she stopped, and she stood there for like 5 minutes broadside. And I was like, oh, I should shoot her. She's a big doe. That's going to be the contest winner. And I kept looking in the background for a buck. And then she finally put her nose up in the air, and she stopped, and then she fucking jumped back, and then she stopped again, and then she blew, and she ran, and she blew, and they all took off. There you go. The wind's this way, but that thermal, unless it was something else. Maybe she didn't smell me, but it was soft wind, so that evening time, so that thermal could have just been swirling around, and she was able to catch it, So having that wind in your face is not always, especially like Steve Randall said, if it's under 7 miles an hour, it doesn't have that much of an effect. By the way, I switched to mushroom coffee, and I feel great. So if you're a coffee drinker, when I say coffee drinker, like I drink coffee, I probably drink 4 cups pods, coffee before I leave the house. And then I go to the gas station, I get a cup of coffee, and then I drink coffee all the way up till about 6 o'clock in the evening. I switched to the mushroom stuff, and it has been a game changer. I was getting to where my 33 jeans were starting to get tight again, and a week of mushroom coffee, and I can feel the difference. Oh, come on, man. How many people we got here? 17 are watching. We've been, what is that, 71 minutes ago? Really? It's already been an hour? Shit. Okay. All right, well, I mean, I did what I could. I hope it was informative. I wish there was somebody that would come on here and talk some shit like I don't know, I'm doing it. Randy's doing it. But let me tell you about this bathroom. Randy has been working on this bathroom. I bet you it looks good, though. But he's been working on this bathroom for like a month. Doing his own bathroom because he's too cheap to hire somebody to do it. Randy Weibel said depends, morning or evening. Thermals, oh yeah, okay, we already read that. Did I miss anybody's question? Let me just run through here real quick. Seeing peak rut for my area like 2 days ago, close to base, big guys breaking antlers on each other. Ryan Pruitt, no you didn't. That's almost like 2 days ago. No you didn't. They might have been some scrubs. I'm not throwing shade or taking shots at anyone, but I'm generally curious how many claim they go. Oh, okay, we already read that one. I have a question because okay, that's it. I think we're good. Did I miss anything? I'm getting in a tree stand. Is getting in a tree stand close to almost 4 p.m. We did that. Yeah, on the whole tree stand thing, I think we covered it. But look, do what you want. I mean, there's guys that just, like my dad. My dad still goes to the quick change oil lube, the Jiffy Lube, and he insists that they put non-synthetic oil in his truck or his car. And I think my mom's car is a 2024 Lincoln Navigator, fully loaded, and he's like arguing with the guy. He wants oil, like crude oil, straight out of the ground, because he's convinced that synthetic is a scam, and maybe it is. I don't know, but it's just what he's always used, and he refuses to change. And some guys just refuse to change. They don't care. Granddaddy did it this way, the daddy did it this way, they learned this way, and they don't care about any new information or new tactics. But walking in the morning, I just think is dumb. I just think it's a waste of time. And then it gets you all bent out of shape when that guy goes around you. And that was another issue. I know Buddy was breaking balls, and he's right. We are not a law enforcement page. If you have a problem, someone's breaking the law, and you can't live with it, you need to call the PMO or the game warden, and you need to handle that. I'm generally the type of person that I don't care if you break the law. If you're getting away, if it doesn't confront me, I don't care. I don't care what as long as you're not hurting women, children, rape, murder, stuff like that. But I'm talking about breaking the law, like you might be fucking hunting illegally or speeding, or you're doing something that is against the rules that I'm not doing. Like I'm following the rule and you're following the rule, you're breaking the rule. I don't care. As long as it doesn't bother me. It only bothers me when you're breaking the rule. Like I go into my hunting area, and I say my hunting area, an area that I have been hunting for years, and I'm walking around and I look up and I see a fucking camera 10 feet in the tree. And I'm like, well, damn, I didn't put it there. But if I climb the tree or I find corn, if I climb the tree, and let's say that I'm not the only one that found that camera and there's somebody staking it out, unlikely as that might be, I'm now guilty. Maybe. I have to explain myself. So I just don't want that type of hassle. I don't like to deal with the police. I don't like to deal with game war. How you doing? I'm going this way. I don't like to sit there and shoot the shit with them because I don't trust them. So I'll just stay out of that area. That's what pisses me off. But I'm not the guy that's going to call the cops. If I really can't live with it, then I'm just going to break your shit, or I'm going to confront you about it. You come in, you break the rule, you're fucking with me. I would feel more comfortable just tracking you down and having a discussion with you than calling the police. But if you can't live with it, call the police. We don't put the stuff on the page. I had to take a few posts down last week, people get mad and they post a picture of a guy's vehicle with his license plate. And we may assume that guy's breaking the law. Maybe he's not. Maybe the guy that posted is just having a bad day. He's a misunderstanding. So we don't do that. But leaving the pavement early is unnecessary. I think a lot of guys are doing it because they're just trying to get to that spot before they think that you might be getting there. And that's a douchebag move. That would piss me off. I typically doesn't confront me because I'm not leaving. I'm not even really turning on to the fire break until the sun starts to rise. So let's say if the sun is going to be, if the sunrise is predicted or forecasted at like 5:30 or 6 o'clock, I'm usually turning into the fire break around 5:50. That gives me enough time, let the sun get up, where I can see like 100 yards where I'm going. I'm not walking around in the dark. I don't see a need for it. Plus, it's a lot easier. It's a lot simpler and all that stuff. Hunting will teach you a lot, especially if you're like me with itchy tree. Yeah, we already read that one. Okay, any ideas on new hoodie? I think So we are at 8 years officially, right? So next year will be 9th year, and then I was saving the OG Mossy Oak Bottomland for 10 year because everybody loves that pattern. It's one of my favorite patterns, and I just think that would be a dope 10 year. But I don't know. I don't know if I can wait another year. I want one. So I think next year we're going to be looking at either we're going to do the Mossy Oak Bottomland and then some ugly ass bright orange muddy girl camo. I hate that pattern, but it would be kind of cool to have a hoodie that we could actually use for hunting. And I know people have been asking for the blaze orange for a while. Yeah, green leaf is cool too, buddy. Something like that, But I think that either next year we're going to do the blaze orange camouflage, that real freaking rednecky shit that everybody loves, that I hate, and then do the Mossy Oak Bottomland for the 10 year. So something like that. I did like the idea of a flannel, just to poke fun at the guys that swear their granddaddy done kill more deers out of a flannel. But I don't wear red flannel ever. So I would never wear that hoodie. But all right, man. I think that I've done the best I can. I hope it was entertaining. Not having someone to like take up the dead space. Plus, I'm tired, and we did over an hour. So I'm happy with it. Let me know if you think the flannel would sell, bud. I'll look into it, but can we do anything other than red? I know red flannel. What's that one white trashy dude that's always hunting with the bow on the ground? He kills scrub deers, and he's got the white hair. He's always wearing that red flannel. I hate that dude. But red flannel, yeah, damn. All right, we'll talk about it, man. We got plenty of time for all that. But I will tell you that the buddy, I got your license plate. So the license plates. I only had, so Greg Bishop got these plates made, and he don't come here as much, so he gave them to me, and he was like, he had specific people in mind that I think he's maybe already told. So if you ask me for a license plate and I say I don't have, I can't give you one, it's not because I'm like gatekeeping, but I have other people's plates, and there was like 2 extras, and old dude had killed that 7.5-year-old buck. And I was there. So it was like, I'd never met the guy before. He seemed like a really cool dude. So I was like, here you go, and he earned it. So, but I don't have 1,000 of them. So I think what we're going to do is, we might have some leftover funds from the hoodie sales and all that stuff. So we might go ahead and make an order for some license plates. It may be a pre-order, like you got to send your money in if you want one, or we may just order them, and then I'll keep some, Randy will keep some, and we'll sell them. It'd be kind of like keep money coming, because I noticed I was at the shed today. Oh, let me tell you something. Y'all remember when y'all was back in school, and for no apparent reason, the whole class was being good, and so the teacher would be like, "Wow, I'm really impressed. I haven't had to tell you guys to shut the hell up in like over 35, and you guys are doing really good today." And within 5 minutes of that, the whole class would be like chaos, and would just be, because she like glazed everybody. They were like, "Oh shit, we're doing good." So I walked into the skin shed last week, 2 weeks ago, and it was spotless. And I was like, "Wow, man, you guys are doing good. I'm happy. Like this is dope. Everybody's like pitching in." And then like I went up there last week, and there was meat stuck to the floor. There was meat and bone on the saw. There was a knife that was like still had like fat on it, and the drain was clogged. Okay, let me tell you something. That metal drain is there. That grate is there for a reason. That is not a garbage disposer. Okay, you don't fucking take the damn top of the grate out and wash all your hair chunks and your meat down that drain. That shit gets picked up, put in the bucket, and goes in the gut pile. I mean, that shit was flooded out, and Chris, the biologist, had to go in there with a snake, and we got deer on the ground, and it's like 3 inches of bloody, gutty water, and it was all. And I noticed it the other day, but I didn't really notice it. I saw it, but it didn't register that somebody had taken the drain off. I don't know if they were cleaning it off, maybe. But keep that drain on there. Okay. Don't when you're spraying the floor down and you got those little chunks of meat rolling, stop. Pick that fucker up and put it not in the trash can, because the trash can very plainly says no deer parts. Put it in the gut bucket. Don't let it go down the drain, please. But it wasn't that bad, but it was clean. And then I found out why it was so clean, because Brennan was up there processing some deer, and he did a really good job cleaning it. So shout out to Brennan for that. And maybe, I don't know if maybe we could probably run like a volunteer weekend, or hey, look, I'll go in and clean it up on Monday this week. Maybe me and so-and-so will go in there on Monday, and then, just get it cleaned up for the week. Since it's closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, that'd be a good day to clean it up. But, yeah. So, anyway, also don't know the legality for it being on post. Maybe a donation box on the... Yeah, we thought about doing that. But, again, Fort Bragg's tricky, So what I don't want to do is I don't want to turn this into where we have to have an actual registration 5013, because there is a law in the United States called, I don't know what it's called, but it's basically soliciting funds under false pretenses, where you go out and say we're going to raise a bunch of money, and then instead of doing the right thing with the money, the guys that raise the money, they go and buy shit for themselves. So what we really try to keep it small. I have a feeling that we could probably raise a lot more money, but then we would have to have an actual president, treasurer, secretary, minutes, filings. We'd get audited and all that stuff, man. And ain't nobody paying me to do this shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. I just like what we're doing. Raise a couple $100, $1,000. We can buy some skin shed supplies. I know we're out of plastic bags. We need maybe some baggies up there. I was at the Dollar Tree today, and I saw a bunch of those Ziploc bags that were on sale. So if it's on sale at Dollar Tree, it's fucking cheap. Cleaner's still good, but anyway, we're all good. I'm gonna jump off here before I start talking about other stuff that's not hunting related. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys out there this week, buddy. I'm gonna see you on Wednesday night. Wink, wink. Oh.